So however you're reacting to whatever life is throwing at you is going to dictate the course of your life moving forward. So for me, sitting at that job that now I say hate, but it's just, I knew it wasn't for me. It just didn't resonate. Sure, I could have ground it out for the next 30, 40 years of my life, but I wouldn't have been happy. That wouldn't have filled my soul. I would have been miserable. So for me, I realized that the event and me showing up to that job day after day was leading down an outcome that I didn't want. So I had to change my response to my life circumstance. And that for me was building that little real estate portfolio just to give me the confidence. And then I was able to throw myself that retirement party at 34. And let me tell you, the look on my grandfather's face, hey, I think he thought I was a little crazy too. And so did my parents. But there's some kind of power in taking an action like that, throwing yourself a retirement party, because I knew I couldn't come back from that. I knew that I'm not going to turn around tomorrow and go apply for a job somewhere because I've already thrown myself a retirement party. Sure, I can go out and make money. And like I said earlier, it doesn't mean that I have to work hard to make the money. And when I say that, I don't mean I'm not going to put in the work.
This is Joy Rowland, and you are listening to the Joyful Money Podcast. This is episode number 87, How to Get Whatever You Want with Jenni Schulz. Welcome to Joyful Money, the podcast where we focus on making money the joyful way. We are done with the stress and anxiety that typically come with making money. We'll feature extraordinary and inspiring business owners who are making a huge impact by sharing their gifts and talents with the world. Pour yourself a cup of coffee or tea and let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. I am so excited to have you join us. I have a very, very special guest today. I've been listening to a podcast for over 5 months. We're going to talk about podcasts during the show, but please join me in welcoming Jenni Schulz to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with you today.
Awesome. So Jenni, why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us what you do?
For sure. Well, let's just start off saying I am a former people pleaser. I used to follow all the rules, all those expectations that society threw on us. They go to school, get a good job, grind it out till retirement, no matter how much you dislike it. I used to do all that. And I realized at a certain point in my life that, you can actually make your own choices in life and choose the path that you want. So I have a mixed bag of stuff. So yes, I'm sure we'll dig into it. I threw myself a retirement party at the age of 34. After that, I started my family. So I have 2 little kids, a husband, and I just kind of guide my life by continually asking myself, what do I want? And seeing where the path takes me.
Wow. That is such a powerful question. And only recently, about a year ago, did I hear my coach ask me, what do you want? It's almost like people, all of us have been conditioned and programmed to just go through what society expects of us. And one of the things my coach said, Brooke Castillo, I'm sure you know her. She said when she first made $67 million, she goes, in her head, is it even allowed? Is it legal for a woman to make 67 million? And so when she had those thoughts, she goes, well, many people don't ask themselves, what do I want? And I love that you said that, Jen. I hope listeners' eyes are going to be opened by your story and everything you have to share. So thank you for starting with that question, what do you want? So Jen, how did it unravel for you? I know you said you had to go through a journey yourself, right, to get to this stage you are at now. Walk us through that journey. How was that like for you? You were in a corporate job. How did you navigate and how did you choose the niche you are in today?
So like I said, I was at that job because I felt like I was supposed to be at that job. That's what my parents had taught me to do. You find a job it had a really great pension and you're just supposed to sit there day after day. And in my heart, I just knew that I wasn't destined to do that. I couldn't keep showing up day after day doing, well, just being bound to somebody else's rules and expectations, showing up at a certain time, having to ask to get holiday time off, and then being told, oh, no, you can't go to your cousin's wedding because you can't have that day off. Things like that. And I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. So I started to dig into it and think, like, well, if this doesn't feel right for me, what else can I do? So that opened up just a path of exploration and digging into things. And the one book that kind of, well, there was two books actually, if I'm being honest here, that kind of like lit a little spark inside of me that made me go, oh, wow, I can deviate from what the masses are doing, and I can create my own path and my own journey and start building my own confidence to fully step into that journey, because it's scary to step away from the masses and go, oh, I'm going to quit my job. Like, my parents thought I was insane. But those two books were Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I just really liked his idea of making money work for you. We're so conditioned in our heads that making money has to be hard. We like work hard for money. And once you can let go of the grip on it, making money doesn't have to be hard, and really sink into that, you can look into opportunities. So for us, spiraling out of reading that, it was getting into real estate. So it was simply finding the funds to buy a property that was like a suited house, so had 2 apartment units in it, so we could live in one and we would rent out the other one. And then we slowly just compounded once we lived in that space for a while, saved up another down payment. We were able to step out, buy another house, keep the initial one, and the new house would have an apartment suite in it too. So we just kind of like kept growing a small real estate portfolio after reading the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And the other book that I really, really liked was The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. So that book is full of just little, simple, actionable steps. And right away, I think it's in like the very first chapter, it says the event plus your response will equal your outcome. So however you're reacting to whatever life is throwing at you is going to dictate the course of your life moving forward. So for me, sitting at that job that, now I say hate, but it's just, I knew it wasn't for me. It just didn't resonate. Sure, I could have ground it out for the next 30, 40 years of my life, but I wouldn't have been happy. That wouldn't have filled my soul. I would have been miserable. So for me, I realized that the event and me showing up to that job day after day was leading down an outcome that I didn't want. So I had to change my response to my life circumstance. And that for me was building that little real estate portfolio just to give me the confidence. And then I was able to throw myself that retirement party at 34. And let me tell you, the look on my grandfather's face, hey, I think he thought I was a little crazy too, and so did my parents. But there's some kind of power in taking an action like that, throwing yourself a retirement party, because I knew I couldn't come back from that. I knew that I'm not going to turn around tomorrow and go apply for a job somewhere because I've already thrown myself a retirement party. Sure, I can go out and make money. And like I said earlier, it doesn't mean that I have to work hard to make the money. And when I say that, I don't mean I'm not going to put in the work, because I do, like, you get rewarded for your work efforts, right? So you can still put in the work, but I feel like we can make money in paths that bring us joy and fill us up and make us feel fulfilled, and not grinding it out at a 9 to 5 for somebody else.
My God, this is so profound. So success means different things to different people. At one point, I was just thinking to myself, if my business could just pay my mortgage, I would be happy. I wasn't even interested in the millions of dollars. I was miserable in my corporate job as well. And I said to myself, if only my business, my chosen business, where I'm so excited to wake up to every morning, if it can just pay my mortgage, that's success to me, right? And I love your story, Jen. I love that you threw yourself a retirement party it's almost like you solidified and said, I've burnt the bridges. I am never going to return to being a slave to somebody else. And this story really resonates with me and my family because my husband became hugely depressed, heavily depressed, clinically depressed, because he would wake up every morning, jump on a train, a 1 hour, 10-minute ride to downtown to go to a job, and then come back on a crowded train. Just that mindset of I'm going on a train journey to a place I don't like and then coming back. Like he just couldn't see himself doing that for the rest of his life. And that made him heavily depressed. So I can very much relate to your story about like you wanted to give yourself what you want in life. You wanted to create success for yourself and your family. And we're not saying, listeners, that it will be by any means easy. Like Jen didn't wake up one morning and just snapped her fingers and she was in a business she loved. Like she had to take these steps. And I also love what you said about so many times we tell ourselves we have to work hard to make money. And in my experience, it has a relationship with our subconscious mind. Many times when we are working in a business where we are just working hard, our subconscious mind will pull on the brakes if the signal we're giving to our nervous system is this is stressful, right? So I want you to tell us more about your work on manifestation because you have a podcast which I listen to called Manifestation and Money. Tell us about how this relates, right? How can we manifest what we want? Given that many times our brains, our minds will get in the way. How can we navigate that to create the life of wealth and abundance that we want?
Yeah, that I first accidentally came across manifestation, and it stemmed from reading that Jack Canfield book, The Success Principles. There was exercise in there that it was basically, what do I want to do, be, and have? So it was an exercise that you were journaling out, just basically a list form of what you want to be, do, and have. So I made the little list and I tucked it inside that book. And it was everything from I want to get married to my current boyfriend. I want to buy my first house. I want a specific blue jacket. To go on a trip to Cancun because my parents had gone on a trip to Cancun. I'm like, oh, that would just be a dream trip. So I wrote out all of these things. And yes, a lot of them were material, I have to admit. But then I tucked it inside that book and I kind of forgot about it. But the seed of intention was planted there. So what do I want? I was really checking into my core and asking myself, what do I want? And I actually found that book. It was about a year later when I was packing to move into my first house, and that little piece of paper fell out, and everything on that list had come true, including.
No way.
Yeah, it was bonkers. I had the blue coat. I had married my husband. We were packing up to move into our first house together. And even when our property closed, I had exactly enough money to say yes to go on a trip to Cancun with my sister and my parents, like almost to the dollar. Like the universe was just like, okay, you asked for these things, here you go. And it actually kind of shocked me because like everything on that list was in front of me. So it was, I had to dig into it more. I had to look into like what just happened there, getting intentional about what I wanted. And then I started discovering vision boards and stuff like that, where you get to check in with yourself and ask yourself, what do I really want? And it can be in a specific area or your whole life as a whole. And then I started creating vision boards and things on the vision boards started coming true. And there's just something magical that seems to align when you wholeheartedly ask yourself, what do I want? And believe you can have it. And sometimes, like, I know for me at first, I was too scared to even write down on those papers what I really wanted. Like, I don't know why we feel like we have to play small, even for ourselves, but there's something along the way of growing up through life where you feel like you have to play small. So if you can slowly start stripping back the layers, and even if it's just you and your own vision board, and allow yourself to dream big, that subconscious starts getting a little bit bigger. Not bigger, but I think you start tapping into your subconscious more. You start getting more confident, and then you're able to start asking for more of what you want. And it just expands from there. So just that intent behind what do I really want?
Wow. As you were talking, I just scribbled in my note. And the next point I want to ask you is unworthiness. As you were talking, I'm thinking many people play small because they don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy of whatever it is that they think they want. Like in their head, they're like, is that possible? Is that possible for me? So how do you help people with becoming worthy? Like being able to picture themselves as creating the life, the wealth and abundance, the success that they truly desire on the inside. How do they become worthy so that they can finally attain that level of success?
Yeah, my two favorite things for that are affirmations. I love
Mm,
affirmations. So even the affirmation, I am worthy, or I am worthy of the thing that you want. And repeat that to yourself. Write it on your bathroom mirror with lipstick. Write it on sticky notes. Stick it on your fridge. Put it in I always called myself a closet manifester for the longest time because I would write myself notes and they would be tucked into my underwear drawer because they were just for me, right? Nobody else is going in my underwear drawer. But affirmations, telling yourself, like even if you don't believe it at first and you know you have the seed of what you want, just tell yourself, yeah, I am worthy. This matters. I am worthy to go after my dreams. And
mm,
it's the timing of it. I don't know when your subconscious starts believing, but it will if you keep just telling yourself that. And another very powerful thing is mirror work. So look at yourself in the mirror and just tell yourself, I love you. Look at
mm.
yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. I dare you to do that and not get emotional or just not get the goosebumps. Like if other people can tell us that they love us, but when you can truly tell yourself that you love yourself, that I think is the starting seed to where everything comes from.
Yes, yes. Well, that mirror work is tough because I've had to do it. For many, many years, I used to dodge all of the mirrors in my house, right? Coming down the stairs, I know there's a mirror there and I just take my eyes off, right? Um, it's because of all of the things we tell ourselves. I don't look good enough. I look fat, like, and all of those things held me back from showing up online. Like you would never see my picture anywhere online. You'll never see my video anywhere online. And ultimately, I was hiding from myself.
Mhm.
So I love what you said about it, like, about mirror work. Like when you gather the courage to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself genuinely and deeply that you love yourself.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the most transformational things we can do for ourselves because when you're no longer hiding from yourself, you show up online, you make the offers, you make the sales, you get the clients. I'm so excited you brought that up, the mirror work. So
And
how
I
do
just
you
have to say something back to you on that because the fact that you say that you used to hide and not put pictures, your picture drew me to you. I saw you online and you have this glow about you. And I was like, oh, I need to talk to her. So that's why I reached out to you. Just like, so the fact that you used to hide and you've done the work, I just want to let you know it shows because I was drawn and connected to you through your photo. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That truly means a lot to me. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but it took me years. And I know a lot of people struggle with this. Like when we look in the mirror, minds will always point to the parts that aren't good, right? So I am hoping someone is encouraged. Like it doesn't matter where you are on your journey, as long as you keep doing this work. And that's why I love bringing real people on this podcast. Because when people hear your story, people will be like, oh, I used to be a people pleaser. I want you to talk about that, Jen. How did you overcome people pleasing? Because this holds a lot of people back. How did you navigate to stop people pleasing?
Good question. And I think for that too, that is a journey. And I think when we talk about journeys, for some reason as kids, we think that, oh, we're going to grow up, we're going to have the answers. It's just, we're going to grow up, we're going to just get it, we're going to figure life out. But if you can just lean back and say, life is a journey, there's never, well, obviously there is a definitive end at some point, but along the way, we're allowed to pivot. We're allowed to try out things. If we get off course, we're allowed to go, wait a second, I want to get back over here and play in this space. So for me with people pleasing, I wouldn't say I'm fully cured of people pleasing, but I'm a lot more aware of it now. So I've got to the point where I want to make a decision. And instead of saying, oh, yes, to do the thing that I really don't want to do, I just have a really good internal dialogue with myself first and check in with, is this really what I want to do? And sometimes it's a hard conversation of saying, oh, no, sorry, I can't commit to taking on that other thing that I feel like I should be doing because it doesn't align with the bigger purpose of what I'm trying to do right now. But I don't think I'll be fully cured, but I think that's part of the journey, right? Like it used to be an all in, the scale was tipped to, I would just say yes and do everything that was asked of me. But as you slowly start checking in with yourself and allowing yourself to have that voice and say, wait a second, I do have a choice here. Then you slowly build like a little confidence muscle in using your voice to articulate, no, sorry, I'm choosing to do this other thing. Because there's so much choice in life. And often we feel like we have to do something. But when we can step back at a situation where we feel like we have to and say, wait a minute, you have a choice here, likely, because sometimes you feel like you really, really don't. But most of the time you do have a choice and you can choose which path you want to take.
Yes. I love that so much. We have a choice every single time. So, Jen, tell us about your podcast, the Manifestation and Money podcast.
Well, do you know what? It actually stems from working with a coach, and I told her I'd love two things. I love manifestation and I love money. And I feel like they're two kind of taboo topics. Like you don't really talk about money so much, right? It's just kind of frowned upon. And then, as I articulated earlier, I was kind of a closet manifester. I'd be quiet about my dreams and desires. And my coach was like, well, you have to pick one. You can't talk to people about manifestation and money. And that little voice inside of me was like, well, why not? This is going to be your business. This is going to be your podcast. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So it was almost like I even stepped further into, I'm like, I'm going to have a whole show about it then. But I just love that blend of mixing the taboo topic of money, because I feel like money is just a currency. Money is an energy. Money is not bad. Money is not good. It is just a tool for us to use for what we need in life or want in life. And then mixing that with the playfulness of manifestation, which again is kind of a taboo topic for people that I'm coming to discover as I'm talking about it more. But it just brings a playful space to making money. And that just resonates with my soul. I'm like, I feel like everybody should be able to make money doing things they enjoy, or at least doing things that aren't soul sucking to them. So that then they have the space and the capacity and the energy to go out and do those things in life that they really love.
Yeah, and I think it's a gift, it's a blessing to be in a space where you earn money, you're building wealth while doing something you love. Because as we know, many people are in jobs that they absolutely hate. And hopefully, if you are that person, you are learning insights from Jan's story. So we're not saying you go tomorrow and you quit your job. No, it's up to you, right? Have a plan and decide what you want. Just like Jen said at the beginning, it all starts with what you want. So Jen, I want you to tell us, how do you marry all of this with being a mom? Because looking at you, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see how calm Jen is, and she's so zen. How are you able to do all of this and still be a mom?
Yeah, that it's just, it comes to balance and being intentional. When I'm doing podcasts or doing work, my kids are off out of the house. They're doing play dates with their friends, or they're doing some, and then when I bring them back into my space, the business is shut down and I am just intentional there with them. I find there are times when there's chaos and things overlap, but just to kind of set that intentionality of this space or this time is dedicated to family. Like, I love family dinners, getting to sit down with my kids and talk about our day, and my husband too. It just, those little connected moments mean so much to me. And to, like, I don't know, I think that oftentimes we think we have to do all of the things all of the time, but if
Mm,
sometimes it doesn't take a lot of time per se to have those really special moments together. And that is what I'm learning to really love the more I step into my life, just to go for a walk with the kids, to go sit out in the yard with them, to kick my shoes off and just walk around on the grass with them. Those grounding exercises that just help you reconnect with just a calmer, peaceful side of yourself. And
mm.
there's still chaos. One of my favorite things to do is go outside and weed my garden. If I'm feeling clouded in the head, I will go outside and weed my garden and step back into life, and everything just feels like it has hit a slight reset button. But yeah,
Wow. Wow.
being intentional.
That's a good strategy. That's a good strategy. I just go and clean my house and then my brain cleans off. So I'm gonna try that as well, going to weed my garden.
Yeah.
Um, So, Jen, apart from your real estate business, what other business interests do you have? Do you have a coaching program that people can come and learn from you? Because obviously you have tons and tons of wisdom, knowledge, and you've done the thing, right? You're walking the walk, and I think a lot of people would want to learn from you. So, apart from your real estate business, what other business interests do you have?
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. My husband and I kind of melding together. So he's a life coach. So he really knows how to work with people on the core issues that are holding people back. And I love the manifestation and money. So we have created kind of a little, we called them mastermind groups, but the name of that might be changing, but little pods of people where we're working with them to help them have those money making ideas, to get them going on the side of whatever job they have. Because, like you said, you might want to quit your job, but don't just go do it tomorrow. You need to have that game plan. I didn't mention on that earlier. It was 2 years of me learning, doing all that personal development, setting up the real estate plan before I was able to say, okay, see you later, 9 to 5. But so now that's what we do. We work with people because I see money making ideas everywhere. And I love to sit with people and say, what are your interests? What are your passions? What are your skills? And then look at, oh, what kind of life do you want to create? You want to be able to pick your kids up in the morning and drop them off, or like pick them up from school and drop them off. So we have to create a business that fits inside of that time frame then. Or you want summers off with your family and you can work the rest of the year. We need to create a business that's more seasonal then. So I absolutely love the playfulness of connecting the dots with people, of what do they want their lifestyle to be like, with how can they make the money to support that lifestyle. And then my hubby comes in to do the mindset work with people, because so often it is us shutting our own good ideas down before they even come out into the real world.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely shut our ideas down. I like that so much. So how
Mhm.
is it being having a business with your husband? How does that dynamic work?
It's kind of fascinating. For some reason, we just gel together really well that way. We built the real estate portfolio together, and I always say we're each other's biggest cheerleaders. And we've learned
Mm,
over the years, because we just had our 17th wedding anniversary, So you kind of get to know each other, right? So you get to know each other, you learn what each other's strengths are, you know where you can fill in each other's gaps, and the dynamic between us works really well. And it's fun just now that we have the kids along too. They like to come to the rental properties. They like to peek in and listen to the podcast. And it's just a neat family dynamic behind it all now.
Wow, 17th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. But did you get married at age 10? Like, how did you look so young? Like, I'm confused.
No, my lucky number is 4 and I'm in my 40s now. So this is my decade. This is my decade. This is my time to shine.
You definitely have good genes. Like, oh gosh. Wow. Okay. So, I'm going off topic, but I just had to say that.
Thank you.
So then, I know you've graciously given us a freebie, 15 side hustle ideas you can start today. So listeners, I'm going to add that to the show notes. Just go grab it. It says increase your income by $1,000 per month. That's one way you can get into Jen's world. I know many people will be excited to get in touch to definitely get coached by you. So thank you so much, Jen. It's been a joy and a privilege having you. Before I let you go, do you have any last words for our listeners?
I just want to give your listeners a big permission slip to go all in on the life that they love. They know they're sitting listening. They know that thing that their heart is calling them to do, that their brain might be saying, not yet, or I'm too scared. So just go find a community of people who are already doing that thing that you want to do, just to normalize it and just lean in to what you really truly want to do in your life.
Wow. That's profound. Thank you so much, Jen. I'll take that on board myself too. We all need that advice. Thank you so much, Jen. So Jen's podcast is Money and Manifestation Podcast. I'm going to add the link to the show notes. I'm going to also add the link to the freebie that Jen has graciously given the listeners today. And Jen, I'll also share your Instagram handles so people can go follow you and learn more. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely love female empowering conversations just to tap into that lifestyle that you love. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you. Hey, very quickly before you go, if this podcast inspired or encouraged you in any way, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and share this with a friend. It means a lot to us, and we appreciate your kindness and generosity in doing this. We'll see you back here on the next episode. Bye-bye.